what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel where we discuss all things creepy. So let's get into today's story. Today's story is quite a familiar one, I'd say. American Horror Story made a spin-off based off the story of the Waverly Hill Sanatorium. Of course, I just gave it away. Today's story is about Waverly Hill Sanatorium and the history and some of the hauntings. Just get behind what was actually going on there and what is going on there today. In 1883, Major Thomas H. Haynes owned the property where Waverly Hill stands today. He lived there with his family and he used the building where Waverly Hill was built. He used this building as a schoolhouse for his daughters, because they were quite far out of town. Needless to say, he had some cash. In 1910, there was a huge TB outbreak. So the building was used as a TB hospital. And it was originally a small hospital for only about 40 to 50 patients. Then in 1926, Waverly Hill was built to be more advanced, so they made it bigger and it could house a lot more patients. Due to the pandemic at that stage, they needed a lot more space. So Waverly Hill was actually said to be one of the best TB hospitals in the eastern US at that time. Treatments was seen as a bit severe and experimental. For instance, they took out some of the patient's ribs to compress their lungs. I don't understand the anatomy behind it, but I do know they removed some ribs and they had a quite large death toll. Apparently, this was nothing out of the ordinary for the time and for the severity of TB at the time, but they did have a pretty giant death toll. And due to this, they had to build the death chute, which we will get to. People who lived in Waverly Hill when it was used as a TB hospital only have good things to say about it. They said that the morals was high when they were there, and that it was a happy place, and that they made friends there, and there was a birthday party basically every month. Apart from the fact that 63,000 people died there, the people were happy. They knew what they were getting into when they got TB. They knew that they were going to die eventually because there wasn't any cure for it at that stage. So they basically made peace with the fact that they will die, and they just enjoyed what time they had left. The nurses would push them all in their beds in front of the big windows that they had there. And the people enjoyed it. They enjoyed each other's company, and they would play card games, and like I said, it was a happy place. The morals were high. In 1961, however, the hospital closed down, and this was not sadly because they found a cure for TB, and due to that, the hospital wasn't needed anymore. So the hospital reopened in October 1962 as a geriatric center, and apparently when the hospital was used as a geriatric center, it wasn't good. Apparently there was some abuse going on, and they were understaffed, and it was filthy, and the people weren't getting the proper care that they needed, which is very sad because our old people do tend to get neglected a lot, and I guess people don't really realize that they also have to get old one day. But yeah, so sadly the old people were mistreated. And what else can you say about that topic without getting very depressed? They closed down in 1980, and the place was abandoned for a while. I think 5 or 3 years. Can't remember the exact time now, but anyway. So it was abandoned for a while, and then it was bought by a man who wanted to build a prison there, and the people of the community wasn't happy about that. So the plans fell through, and he ended up selling the place again. And then it was bought by somebody who wanted to build the world's largest Jesus statue, and then Brazil beat him to it, and then that plans fell through, and so on and so forth. So the place was basically abandoned and bought up by people for a couple decades, I think maybe 20 years or so. Until 2001, when it was bought by Charles and Tina Mattingly. I'm not sure if they knew what they wanted to do with the place, because it seems like they keep changing their minds about what the ideas are for the building. Currently, they want to make it into a bed and breakfast. But let's get into what happened after they bought the building. Late one night, Charles was taping up the building or something, and he felt this eerie feeling like somebody was watching him. So he pulled out his camera, and on the footage, he found a bunch of shadows and orbs floating around. His wife, Tina, also had an experience where she saw a shadow in the doorway. And when she asked if there was somebody there, nobody answered. And when she went to look, it was gone. The silhouette was gone. People say that room 502 is one of the most haunted rooms in the building, and that they would just get sick when they enter into this room. The story behind room 502 is that there was a nurse that worked by the hospital. I'm not quite sure if this was when it was a TB hospital or when it was the geriatric center. This nurse got pregnant out of wedlock, and in those days it was frowned upon if you were an unmarried woman and you got pregnant, because marriage and then sex, and then it was sex, and yeah. Sadly, she couldn't deal with the fact that she was pregnant out of wedlock, and she was scared of what the people would say and what the people would think, because of course in those days it was quite a big deal. This nurse sadly ended up going into the washing room and trying to self-abort with a coat hanger. She then went into the hallway and she hung herself from a light fixture. So I don't know if I don't know what tempted her to do this, because she tried to self-abort. I don't know if she failed or what the reasoning was behind this, but this is what the people are saying happened. Room 503 is also pretty sketchy, and apparently when people go in there, it drains their batteries, camera batteries, phone batteries. I don't know why. I don't. That's what they say happened, so I'm just gonna go with what they say. The one medium went in there and started crying and screaming and all that stuff, and she said that basically she was possessed by somebody that was in the hospital when it was the TB hospital. This spirit possessing the psychic medium apparently said that the only reason why the ghosts are there is because they miss the hospital and it's their home, and basically on the other side they still see it how it used to be when it was still Waverly Hill. Let's get into the death chute. So the death chute is a 500-foot tunnel. This tunnel was originally used to carry warm steam up into the hospital. Because it was built on a hill, it got extremely cold, so there was a thingy at the bottom, don't ask me the specific name, that was making steam and sending the steam up into the pipes into the hospital for a heating system. When Waverly Hill ended up becoming a hospital, then they started using the tunnels as a way to move food up and down the hill, basically as a shortcut. And then when the death toll became too high, they started using it as means to transport the dead bodies discreetly, so the people from the hospital wouldn't see their friends going out in a body bag. They also built a morgue at the bottom of the chute as a means to, I think, do autopsies on the dead in order to find a way to cure TB, I believe. Needless to say, people find the death chute to be quite sketchy, and that's why people formed their own conclusions around it. But according to the history, nothing fishy or sketchy went on there. It was just a way to transport the dead without upsetting the living. Naturally, there was a paranormal investigator, psychic medium, whatever you want to call him, who went into the death chute to conduct his own paranormal investigation. This guy said that out of the whole building, the chute was the most haunted because apparently, when it was abandoned for all those years, it was a place for Satanists to hang out. Because there were so many dead bodies going through that chute, they could use that as a way to do their Satanistic rituals and to use it as some kind of portal to the dead. I have no clue. I don't know how these things work. I don't want to know how it works. So all I know is that it was used by Satanists. That, my dear friends, is the history of Waverly Hill. And let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's haunted? Do you think it is the hospital people? Do you think it's the elderly people? Do you think that it's the Satanists? What do you think caused Waverly Hill to become one of the most haunted buildings? Also, please let me know in the comment section if you have anything else that you would like me to talk about, anything else that you would like me to research so that I can tell you the story. And I will definitely do that for you guys. I will run out of stories shortly, so please help a girl out and hit that like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Mwah.